Hi everyone, it's Gustavo here again. Currently in East Vancouver. Gonna meet one of my good friends. We used to live in Alberta. He's now currently living here in Vancouver.
Hi everybody, my name is Hernan. I'm from Chile. I've been living in Canada for 14 years. 5 years in Edmonton, 5 years in Calgary, and 3 years here in Vancouver.
So Hernan has shown me the South American bakery here in East Vancouver. We're actually currently in Burnaby. We're gonna eat some empanadas. What kind of empanadas do we have?
So it's the beef empanadas, which is in Chile it's called empanada de pino, which is translated as a pine empanada. I don't know why they call it pine empanadas, but this is how we call it.
They look like Indian samosas.
Yeah, they're kind of Indian samosas, but they're not spicy at all.
What else did we get?
So we also got guaraná. This is originally from Brazil, I believe so. It tastes really good. And also we have Inca Cola from Peru.
Nice.
So we have really like a whole bunch of different flavors from different countries.
Let's dig in first and then we'll chat more.
Yes. By the way, those empanadas was really good. It bring me a little bit of my childhood in every bite.
Nice. Nice. How much was it? Like $6 something, right? Each?
$6.25.
$6.25?
Yeah, it
so
went up.
That's definitely a little bit pricey for one.
Yeah. It used to be $4 before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's going up in price.
So would you say there's definitely inflation right now in Vancouver?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's inflation around the world. There's a lot of inflation, but you can see it in your rents. I see it mainly in my groceries. Like usually when you go to Costco, I used to spend like $300, $400. Now my bills are going to $500 or $600, which is just a matter of a few months. So definitely I can see there's some inflation going on, and but as well, it depends. Also your salary doesn't increase, so you tend to actually look for another opportunities up there, which it might compensate it, but yeah, life is changing right now. I feel like it's not the same as before. I've been looking around rentals around, like a 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom apartment. That depends on the zone in Vancouver, but usually we're talking about around $2,200 to $2,600 1-bedroom apartment. If it's 2 bedrooms apartment, you might even reach out to $3,000. I'm working in the engineering industry. For me, I struggle to save a certain amount of money. So nowadays it's
pretty expensive.
Pretty expensive. So I was born and raised in Chile. I left Chile when I was 17. I moved to Canada because my brothers and my sister were already living in here. So it was inevitable for me to move here with the help of some scholarships, mainly my dad too. So I moved here in 2008, if I recall it right, and then I took some ESL courses,
okay.
And that's how I met you.
Okay.
I'm from, let's say the capital city is Santiago, but actually I'm from Win. If it's anybody seen this, hi Win. But yeah, I'm from Win. We grew up in a small house in there. It has a little soccer field and swimming pool.
So your brothers came here first?
Yeah, they came here first in 2001. The main point for them it was to live in Canada for a year just to learn English and then go back to Chile, but they ended up staying. I still remember, it was January 2008, January 11, and Edmonton received me with a -40 plus wind chill. So I was wearing everything that I had at that time, even my suitcase.
I remember.
Yeah, it was horrible there. I mean, yeah, that was my first impression though. And I don't know, I was really fascinated with everything in Canada. Like I'd never seen cars like driving in the snow, people speaking another language that I don't understand. Because usually when you come from another country, you have the default settings in your mind that you're gonna listen your common language, that you understand it without even having to force yourself. But now that you're in a different country, you're like, oh, everyone is making noises but don't understand. I came with absolutely no English.
Okay.
Like when you say hi to me, I was like, what the hell is he saying to me? So I was like with no English at all. So for me, it was more like a survival type of environment that I need to learn English for me in order to get some food, right? To go to the superstore or I don't know, get a beer at the time. Yeah, I still remember one story that I went to the supermarket, and then I just took like a roast beef, already made.
Yeah.
And then one of the cashiers, she was saying, I don't remember what she was saying, but she was saying something about the chicken. And probably it was because, oh, do you want a bag in the chicken? And I was like, I said, and I remember calling, I said, no, this is kitchen. But I meant to say chicken.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So I don't know. So things like that, it's mistakes like that I usually made it when I came here, and I embarrassed myself. But then after a few months, you kind of lose that shyness, I would say. And then one tips that I give to newcomers is that try not to speak your native language. Just try to get exposed as much English as you can. Like if you, like I'm not trying to be discriminated or anything, but don't try to look for Latino American, like in my case, Latino American friends that speak Spanish. Because even though we're in a different country, we know that we're gonna speak Spanish by default. So try not to do that, because you come here in a different country to learn the language and to learn the culture, right? So that's one of my tips, I would say. My first job ever, it was at Wendy's. I don't know if you guys know about
Wendy's Burger?
For Wendy's Burgers. I still remember loving the Baconator. I'm making advertisement for Wendy now. It was a really good time. It was more like I was in a student life bubble kind of thing, right? So I came with a student visa with the ESL, and then I applied for a business diploma at one of the institutions in Edmonton. I got accepted, and I studied business administration in there.
Cool.
I started working after 6 months. I was in Canada, in Edmonton, yes. Okay. Yeah. I'll say, yeah, I was really shy, by the way. So we were passing by Wendy's. So I was like, oh, they're looking for new employees. And then my brother was like, oh yeah, we should apply. I'm like, no, I don't know any English. I apply. And then he took the form and he filled it out for me, and then he submitted. And then the next day they called me. I was like, I was so embarrassed, but I don't know. So thank you, brother.
How was your experience working there?
Was good. It was mainly all, again, I don't want to sound discriminated, but they were all people from China. So they were mainly speaking Chinese in the back house. And that's how I realized that, so people tend to make their own bubbles when they don't speak English or they're not fluent. And it's hard to break that bubble when you're next to it. I met a lot of people from different countries: Saudi Arabia, Mexicans, Colombians, Argentinians, Germans. The only downside of it is that you meet a lot of people, but at the same time, they leave right away. So they're only here temporarily. So you don't really make this connection for a long term.
Right.
I would say after I graduated from my business diploma, you get like 2 or 3 years of a work visa. So in that period of time, you have to be in a job that is eligible for you to apply for a PR. So my first job, it wasn't one of those jobs. So I ended up quitting and then trying to look for a position or job that would get my PR. So I ended up working in the kitchen in Edmonton for the last year, I think. Yeah.
So even though you were able to get a business degree, it was still hard to sort of find a proper job?
It was not really hard. I think it's just I was not having enough. At that period, I was really immature, that enough believe in myself that I could get certain jobs at that period, and I didn't apply for it.
Right.
So again, I was like a little bit shy back then. So I ended up working in the kitchen, and I started working there and accumulate the hours for my PR. And then some personal life happens. I want to have a fresh start. And then I moved to Calgary after 5 months. I was working in that kitchen. At that time, I was with my girlfriend. I broke up with my girlfriend, and have a really strong broken heart that I feel like, okay, I need to move out. So my brother back then, he was living in Calgary. He was inviting me to Calgary. So yeah, so I moved to Calgary then, and I started working again in the kitchen because I already have some hours in that career. Then after 2 years or 2 years and a half, my work visa was about to expire, and then my company, or the kitchen that I was applying for, they sponsored me for 2 years. I think they gave me a visa. Yeah. Right now you have the express entry, right? And it has everything is lined out for you on the website. If you just need to fill out some forms, I will tell you where to go. Back then was not even the website. It was really old. Like you can see, the website was back in the 90s that they made it, and then the information was barely there. So it wasn't that easy, and then that's why most people back then, they were just reaching out to a consultant. I live in Calgary for 5 years. Yeah. When I moved to Calgary, I was still working in the kitchen. Got my sponsorship. I worked there for 2 more years, and then I was eligible to apply for after a year, I was eligible to apply for my PR, and I applied it, and it took 2 years and a half to get it back, to actually get approval and send me the card. Because I applied through a program that's called provincial nominee, and then the provincial nominee will have its own categories, right? Yeah. So the category that I applied for, when I applied, it was right a month before that program expired. So that's why it took it so long. So, and it also was the transition between, I think, between Harper and Trudeau.
Oh, interesting.
And I read in the news that they're having some problems in the immigration system when Trudeau had that transition. Okay. So I think I was in that gap, like my application fall into that empty gap that nobody was following up with it. So 2 years and a half it took, and after I got my PR, I quit right away my job. Like I was done. They knew that I wanted, like, one of the things that it kept me going, it was my ambitions. I always want to have my engineering degree. I always want to have it. And everyone knew that I want to go back to study. I need to get my PR because I didn't have the financial situation to actually pay for my engineering degree as international student. International student, you pay 3 times the amount of what a domestic or what a citizen will pay. Yeah. And then I didn't have my family to support me at that back then, so it was all on me. So after I got my PR, I quit, and then I did like a long trip to Southeast Asia. I went to Taiwan. I went to Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia. Yeah, it was really fun. I was even on TV, but that's another story.
That's another story.
That's another story. So, I quit. I came back from my vacation, and then I registered myself into. I had 2 options. I could go for 4 years to do my engineering at the University of Calgary, or go to States, just 2 years, but as a technologist. So, because I did not have that much money back then, so I didn't want to have so much risk of what things could happen, right? So I ended up going to the institution for 2 years because it was, I don't know, practicality. It made more sense. It was safer, I would say. So after I graduated, 2 years in there, I have few job offers. Right before I graduated, I already have some job offers. At that time, was my sister who recommended me to apply one job all-in-one job in Vancouver and then see what happened. So what I ended up receiving is that I received 3 offers in Calgary and 1 offer in Vancouver. I ended up taking the job here in Vancouver, even though they didn't pay that much. I knew it, but it would give me a food in Vancouver to be closer to my family, to my sister.
So, okay, so you move. Okay, let's back up. 5
Yeah.
years in Edmonton, 5 in Calgary,
Yes.
and you moved again to Vancouver because of the job.
Mainly because of my family.
Okay.
Mainly.
Okay.
At that back then I didn't have a good impression of Vancouver, to be honest, because it was well known as being expensive.
Expensive, yeah.
Well, I moved to Vancouver, and then I didn't like my job that I got in, because I knew from the beginning it's not the thing that I was looking for. And then so I was constantly looking for a new job, and then finally I found an industry that I really wanted to get in. I got in. I ended up working pretty good, and now they pay me for my education to get my
Wow.
my full degree of engineering.
Wow.
So now I'm studying and working full time.
They're paying for your education. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a summary, like a really brief summary of my years in Canada.
Right.
You're finding like everyone's so, I don't know, in their own business, so they're really individualistic.
But do you think it's because of the language barrier, or it's because everyone's just minding their own business?
Culture.
Culture, I see.
It's culture, I think, because you have so many different cultures in here that they tend to just isolate yourself.
I see.
You tend to do things that no other people do.
Are there a lot of people from Chile in Vancouver?
I know in these past 3 years I've been here, there's so many.
Yeah.
So many, and I think that's because of the relationship between Canada and Chile. That Canada being really open the doors for Chileans. In Vancouver, I only know 1 or 2 people from Latin America, or another person from Spain, but we're really close. I mean, not that close, but we hang out.
Do you, when you go out with your friends, do you still show a little bit of where you come from? Do you have things that normally Canadians don't do that you still do, or some like attitudes or ways of doing things?
Not really.
Like, what would you say? Something
Actually,
that you say
it's kind of the opposite. Like,
okay.
What's happened to me in general is that I adapt to whatever environment that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things, like, for example, one of the Latino friends, they're telling me, oh, that's your partner knows how to speak Spanish. I'm like, no, because I don't force her to speak Spanish. I don't teach her how to speak Spanish.
Right.
But in the contrary, actually, I learned about her. So it probably is my personality that don't enforce my culture, and probably that's the consequences for me, that I'm forgetting certain things or how to be a Chilean, because now I'm Chilean, but at the same time I'm acting like a Canadian, and at the workplace or with different people. So I'm like a Frankenstein.
Do you miss Chile?
I do miss my friends. I do miss the people. I don't miss the system.
Okay.
The system, I don't think it makes sense, and the system, it's a consequence of the culture.
Yeah, I can probably relate to that. Just wanted to get to know you a little bit more, share with everyone about you, about a Chilean living in Vancouver. Definitely, there's a lot of them out there. But thank you so much for sharing.
Invite me another time. I can tell you my trip to Southeast Asia.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds good. We'll do.
I was even in a TV show in Holland.
That's great. Okay, we'll definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Hernan.
Thank you.